Cheers, mate. Sorry. Cheers, matey. So I'm drinking some oolong cha, oolong tea. And I was getting ready to go to bed, and I realized, you know what? I really can't sleep. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if you have any other people who might be not quite ready for bed yet. When you get old like me, you drink your Ovaltine and your prune juice. You finish up your crossword puzzle for the day, then you go to bed. Okay, let's try to get this down a little bit more. Yeah, man. You got that right. Cheers. Mazel tov, dude. So, yeah, man, I gotta go to bed, dude. I'm an old man. I've been watching NHK Japan, and I've been going through a lot of those videos for the last decade. I was surprised at how many videos I've missed out on over the years. I've been watching lots of there just about Japan and just kind of just getting caught up on some happenings in and around Japan over the years. And I was getting ready to go to bed, and then I'm like, I don't know if I'm quite ready for bed yet. I thought I was, but maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm, like I said, I'm an old man. I mean, I'll go lay down in my bed, and I'm like, oh, I'm not there yet. Maybe I'll bore myself to sleep right now. Drinking some oolong tea. So, as they like to say in Japan, oolong cha. Yeah, baby, some USA up all night with Rhonda Shear, right? Or Gilbert Godfrey, depending on when. I remember Rhonda Shear was my girl. My girl, what up, girl? And then somehow she got bounced for Gilbert Godfrey, talking about a complete, dumpster fire of what happened there. I mean, Gilbert Godfrey's a great comedian, but he don't compete with no Rhonda Shear. I want to keep saying Shonda, but I think it's Rhonda Shear. I don't think it's Shonda Shear. So. But yeah, she was a looker. I remember watching her and Cassandra Peterson, who played Elvira. Elvira had something she'd always show on a couple of times a year. She'd have like an Elvira Mistress of the Dark, like a double feature movie marathon. I don't know what channel that was on, but she was always on TV too, I felt like. And the cool thing is my dad, he didn't care what we watched. So, maybe some of it was edited for TV, but then she did VHS releases of these movies that she would, kind of talk about, kind of like a horror host from the 70s and 80s. And my dad would let us watch them. And, of course, it's real risque for, young boys to watch. And my dad was like, oh, sure, you can rent those. So me and my brother would be checking them out all the time. Yeah, it wasn't a really transition from Rhonda Shear to Gilbert Godfrey. But that's like when young kids in the 80s got, when we learned about, the anatomy of a lady, at midnight on USA, up all night. Because, they wouldn't go all the way over to the dark side like HBO or Showtime or Skinamax or whatever. They would tiptoe to the edge, stick the toe in the water and, swirl it around a bit, but they wouldn't go all the way. So, there was a lot of TNA, a lot of dirty jokes, all that kind of stuff, but they never really went all the way. So yeah, I remember watching that. I mean, a lot of times they would show movies that were probably pretty hard R, maybe even not rated or unrated. And then they would trim them up a bit, when they had them on USA. Yeah, dude. I mean, we all did. I think, if you're a kid growing up, the thing is in my family, my mom and dad's house, My parents, we had TVs in like every room growing up. I had TV in my room, had TV in the living room, had TV in the family room. My parents had a TV. My brother had a TV downstairs, I'm sure. I don't know if my sister had TV. I would assume she did. So I mean, we had TVs everywhere. So we really were able to kind of just kind of do our own thing. And I don't know if I've ever talked about this. Let me tell you all, like, this will be for going down memory lane and a moment in time. So in the 80s, my dad bought me a TV, or like late 80s, I'm sure. And one of those big, tube TVs. And I had a long chest of drawers. You know how a lot of people had the tall ones? I had one of those. But my parents bought me a long flat one that kind of went the width of the wall. What up, Mikey? What up, baseball fam? And my dad let me set it up however I want, because I was probably starting to become a teenager, like 12 or 13 years old. And so he let me put a TV. He bought me one for my birthday or Christmas, and I got a VCR. And then I had in my chest of drawers off to the side all my like clothes, but even though this was a long chest of drawers, all the drawers I had in there, I just layered them with VHS. I mean, we're talking about like stacks of VHS just in there, and I would just open up the drawer and I would go through it and pick out my movies I would want to watch, because I was like and still am, a huge movie fan. And my friends would come over and everybody would be like, where do you keep all your movies, or where's all your stuff at, Jason? I'm like, open those drawers. And they're like, every single drawer. And I'm like, yeah, I had them. I had like action, I had horror, I had comedy, musicals, whatever. Because I was big into musicals. Shh, don't tell anybody. I can't have anybody join. I'm on my notebook, and I'm on my YouTube channel. I didn't go through my phone through StreamYard, so I can't have anybody join me tonight, dude. I'm sorry. This weekend for sure, I'm going to do a live stream, I'm sure, at some point, and you're welcome to join in. Yeah, it began early, dude. Yeah, I mean, I think I've shared people before. My dad would started buying me VHS when I was like 7 or 8. I started buying, because I don't know if you all know this, but my dad was an automotive worker. He worked for Ford Motor Company. And I don't know I've mentioned this before, but a lot of the guys in the 80s that were looking to make money would go to like places like Ford, because he knew those guys had a lot of money because it was a manufacturing job. So you have a lot of guys in Louisville, Kentucky who had things that fall off the back of trucks. They would go out to the parking lot where all the employees were getting off of work, and they would like pop their trunks. And they would say, hey, guys, we got VHS over here for $5 a pop, or we got Nintendo games still sealed in their box, $10 a pop, $20 a pop. We got new shoes, we got Nike Air Jordans, whatever. All the stuff that fell off the back of the truck. None of these guys that worked at Ford could care less where it came from. If you're just, and they weren't knockoffs, they were like obviously legit things. So my dad would come home sometimes with like an armful of like VHS, like armful of video games from the Nintendo, and I remember opening up video games and VHS on Easter Sunday. I mean, you would think it's Christmas or my birthday, and it was like he laid my basket out here with my mom, and there'd be like VHS in there and video games. I mean, they weren't wrapped, but it was like, here you go, Jason. I mean, my dad just got stuff like that all the time. So my dad would ask me, what do you want, Jason? And I'm like, I want this, video game wise or VHS wise. And then, within a few months, few weeks, whatever, it would show up. He would always find it just laying out the back of the truck somewhere. So coming to my house was a big deal for a lot of people in the neighborhood, because we pretty much had all the newest stuff just sitting around in our house. Now, the only thing my dad never popped on was any kind of like pay-per-view stuff. He didn't want to spend $50 or $60 for like a 3-hour show. He wasn't about that life, as they like to say. But anything else, he was there and he'd get it. So I remember I'd get together with my friends, and I don't know how you all did things when you all were growing up, but I thought it was cool because my parents would let us have sleepovers. My brother and I were basically the same age. We're a year and a half apart. and we ended up in the same grade. I got held back shockingly in first grade. That's the whole side story. So my brother and I ended up in the same grade, so we had a lot of the same friends. Essentially, we had the same friends all the way through about middle school, I would say. So all of our friends would come over to our house, and they hang out with me and my brother, and we would watch movies all night long. We would order Pizza King pizza, which is like an Indiana thing. You don't know about Pizza King if you don't live in Indiana. It's like a huge deal here. It's squared pizza. It comes in squares, not triangles, squares. We're like talking about little mini squares like this big, and that was a big thing here. So we have pizza parties, drinking Coke, drink Pepsi, Mountain Dew, whatever, eating pizza, watching movies, and just or watch cable. And it was like the place to be, which was great because, again, my brother and I were about the same age, and we just run around and hung out. We had such a great time, and that's kind of where Rhonda Shear and Up All Night kind of got into it, when we learned about it. Then when my dad got the premium channels, boy, howdy, that opened up a whole new world that you didn't know. Like, 15-year-old Jason didn't know about, or 14-year-old Jason didn't know about. I was like, what? So yeah, for sure, it was a good time, and back then, unlike now, parents really didn't care. Well, I don't want to say they didn't really care. They weren't as concerned with what their kids were watching. So my dad and mom just pretty much just let us watch whatever we wanted. So I mean, my dad knew what we were watching because we rented with him. We go down to Roadrunner Video in Jeffersonville, Indiana, which is who his buddies owned. There was like a local franchise my dad's friends owned that he went to high school with. And we would just rent stuff all day long, and he never asked questions. And we would just go and watch stuff in my room. I remember watching some really subversive stuff as a kid, and they didn't even ask twice. Now, they would have walked in on what I was watching and doing all kinds of horrific things. They probably would have been like, what in the world, Jason? But, what they didn't know didn't hurt them. And my dad kind of had that approach, like, unless you brought it to his attention and you did something so stupid that he could not pay attention, he just kind of was just like, I don't know. If I don't know, I don't know. So, Zombie, the early years. Yeah, watch out, Fred Savage. You had the early years, you had the wonder years. Yeah, dude. I remember, dude. I mean, no one understands. I mean, no one. Young people, I would say anybody under the age of 30, but definitely 25. But no one knows the struggle of going on Friday night after school with your mom or your dad or both, and then having literally thousands of options on the wall to pick maybe one movie, maybe a couple, maybe if your parents were tight and they said you and your brother and sister had to pick a movie that you both could watch. Luckily, my dad, like I said, was friends with the video shop guys. So we always had a good deal. It was like 5 movies for $10 or whatever kind of thing, or 6 movies. And we used to go in there, me and my brother do, every time, we make a beeline to the horror movie section. I don't care if we were 5 or we were 15. Well, my dad said, you and your brother go pick out a couple movies you want. First of all, we went straight to the horror section. Then after we got done with horror, looking around in the horror section, we went straight to the action section. And almost guaranteed we're picking up at least 1 or 2 horror or action movies. Sometimes we get comedies, but most of the time it was horror or action. And man, we saw so much stuff. I mean, there's tons of probably garbage. I mean, it was amazing. For sure. That's a crazy thing where I was living. I mean, Mark, and I see people post, and I'm trying to keep up. But when I was growing up, we didn't have big box stores. I don't know how we avoided that. Now they did show up towards the end, kind of like the last couple of years, like the last lifeblood that was left in the home movie realm when DVDs were starting to kind of like peter out. We did have a Red Giraffe that showed up eventually, and I think we did have a Hollywood Video came towards the end also, and a Blockbuster ended up showing up at the very end. But man, we had mostly local places. I mean, there was a ton of local places. I don't remember any big box chains really coming in until kind of after the boom and started kind of like subsiding. I think that's when the videos market like started crashing because all the big big chains like Blockbuster, Hollywood Videos, and all those places are started like, buying up all these buildings, trying to like, think they're going to get in front of something like the DVD boom that when the VHS was dying off, and the DVD had a strong couple of years, but then that died off as well. So they didn't last much longer. So, I mean, I mostly just went to local places. Of course, by the late 90s, it was different, but, the mid to late 80s to the early to mid 90s, it was almost all exclusively local places, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Family Video, I think, went out of business. They just officially went out of business last month. COVID killed their business. And streaming and all that other stuff. Yeah, I mean, like, this is the crazy thing. They sell CBD. Yeah, no kidding. So yeah, I mean, like, it was, I'm just trying to get caught up on some of the things. Hey man, thanks a lot for whoever grabbed that one guy. Go ahead and block that dude as well. Whatever. I appreciate it. Yeah. Mark, you're the man, dude. I was just caught off guard. But yeah, the CBD thing, that's right. That stuff shows up everywhere. Now that CBD stuff, that's all over the place. I don't even know how that even happens. Like gas stations, salons. It's weird. Like that stuff's all over now. Yeah, somebody got put in timeout. You all on top of it, man. I can't even catch up with some of this stuff. But yeah, man. I mean, like I'm trying to think of some of the other things. You would see Alex from the top rope. I know you and Mark and Alex, man. They're doing some old school tag team back again. Yeah, somebody just got wrenched and then got wrecked. But I mean, that time frame of watching movies was so awesome. And you're right, you could watch movies back then, and you had to watch them, man. Like you didn't want to spend $2-3 on a rental. And sometimes, like brand new, sometimes I think it was close to $5. Now, of course, it got cheaper as the years went on. And not watch that movie, you had to watch it. It was a waste of money. Today is kind of funny because I use the library here in my town I live in as my rental shop because you can watch movies for free there. You can go. They still bring in physical media at the library. So I picked up today. I got Dark Phoenix, which was awful. New Mutants, which was god awful, like awful. The capital awe. And then I got the Ben Affleck. We'll be back or back again or once again or something. I think he plays like a ex-alcoholic basketball coach or something. So I mean, so I still use it. I still watch movies like that. I don't really like buying a bunch of streaming services because again, I don't want to give all these companies my money. Like after Gina Carano got canceled, I'm not buying Disney Plus anymore. I'm done with that. I'm not giving them my money. I'd rather buy a Fire Stick and just, and just do it that way. Just go through a Fire Stick, jailbreak the Fire Stick, or whatever. Use a Roku and get whatever I can for free off of my Wi-Fi. I mean, I'm essentially like that. I don't want to give companies my money, kind of like we talked about before, PSA and all that jazz. I mean, it's just ridiculous because I just don't want to do that. But yeah, man. I mean, I think going to the library and getting movies for free it's always a good time. That's the way I like to do it. Oh man. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. That's another reason why buying physical media is a good thing if you're in. Gina Carano, she played in The Mandalorian. I think her name was Cara Dune. I only watched like half of the first season because I don't have streaming services. But I was about ready to get it because my dad bought me for Christmas like the high-end Roku or whatever, like the most recent variation or version of it. And I was gonna buy that service and a few others like Peacock and a few other things, and get like $20 worth of streaming services But after what they did to Gina Carano, I decided I'm not going to spend my money on there. But basically, they didn't like her points of view. Like, she's kind of conservative, or she speaks her mind, and Disney fired her. But they had people doing the exact same thing from the other side of the spectrum. They get to keep their jobs and get to keep on going. But if she does something a different perspective, she gets fired. So it's just But at this point in time in 2021, is any of this surprising? No. She was a fighter, yeah, back in like 2000, 2003, 4, 5, I guess. Yeah, she was a fighter. And then she was like an American Gladiator. Do you all remember that show? They must have revived that show somewhere in the early aughts. Because I used to watch that show in the 80s and the 90s too. Yeah, isn't that ironic? Liberal equals not inclusive. But so anyways, that's how I watch a lot of my movies is like going to the red box or going to the library and getting them that way. That's kind of like my thing. And it's fun that way for sure. Hey, what up, Reese? BF Golf, Gary, Diego, Alex, Mark. I appreciate you all hanging out here. I don't know, dude. I have a few YouTube channels. They kind of does the work for me. I watch because regardless of what you believe or not, regardless of what you think or not, all mainstream media has everybody looking this way at everything. You have to look at alternative sources. You just have to do it. It's impossible not to get any other perspective anymore. I mean, it is 100% one direction now. And that's how I keep up with the stuff I find, because you won't know you are not going to know a lot of this stuff happens, or you're going to hear about it from one perspective and not hear the whole story. And so you're like, that person deserves to, have their lives ruined and canceled and disappear and whatever because, of what they said or did or whatever. You got to know from the whole perspective. It's not just what they want you to know. And that's really where we're at now. We've been like that for a couple of years, but it keeps getting amplified more and more every year. So I have a handful of channels I keep up with and watch. Some of them are humorous, which I enjoy humor. Because if you're not laughing, you're crying, man. I mean, I don't know how you all feel, but sometimes, if you're not going to laugh, you're going to cry. It's really sad. So, they talk about serious issues, but they try to put a spin on it to make it funny or try to make light if you can make light of something like that. So I do it in that capacity. But that's kind of how I keep up with it. That's kind of how I do it. I mean, and we all probably know we all can get burned out watching the same stuff over and over and over again. Hey, what up, Ace fam? So I mean, if I watch everybody's YouTube channel nonstop for a couple days, I get pretty exhausted by about day 2 or 3, maybe 4. I'm definitely pretty wiped out because, again, even though I enjoy watching everybody's channel because I appreciate people coming to watch my channel, a lot of times things go in like loops, like right now we're on the PSA loop, some other shocking thing will come along and everybody gets that loop going. We go on these loops. So it's kind of like once everybody says once one person says, everybody has to chime in, including myself. I'm not trying to make it sound like I don't have my 2 cents I throw in there too, but not everybody's as entertaining as me when they do it. That's the thing. Underwater metal detecting. I don't know if you're joking or not, but that's pretty funny if you are being serious. Yeah, man, I just like to be educated as much as I can. I mean, I think it's good because, having a diversity of opinion or having things come at you from a different direction, to me it helps you understand. Yeah, it's electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie. Oh, you're seriously talking about underwater metal detecting? Well, that's awesome, buddy. Lots of guns found in rivers. Also, Atlantis, Aquaman, Pompeii, for instance. So there's a lot of things that probably could be parts of it could be found in oceans and rivers and lakes and streams And what do people used to call them? What would people call cricks? Not creeks, but cricks. I remember I was in college and I was in Southern Indiana, which is where I'm from. But there's one in particular professor we kept saying one day, and I'll never forget it. He goes, "If you guys want, we can go out back to the creek and have class." And I was like, "What?" I'm like looking around, and they're like, "Yeah, that'd be fun. Let's go." And I'm like, "Where are we going?" I'm like, "Where are we going?" They're like, I asked the professor, I'm like, "Where are we going?" They're like, "Yeah, we're going out to the back to the creek." Going out back to the creek. Huh? So then I asked somebody else in the classroom, I'm like, when the teacher says creek, what is he talking about? And he's like, "Oh, we're going to go out back by the picnic tables next to the creek." And I'm like, "Oh, the creek. AKA the creek." So maybe you could take your metal detector, Gary, out to the creek and see if you get lucky and find yourself something metal. Now, I know people do that kind of thing when it comes to like sandy beaches. Uh-oh. One of my buddies has sent me some. Let's see what this is. I can't wait. What is it? What is this? I'm sure it's going to be something shocking. Not now. Yeah, that's the new thing. Yeah, of course, it's the new thing. We're talking about cancel culture now. Dr. Seuss got canceled. We're like living in the Twilight Zone. Unbelievable. Now, apparently, you can't be a 4-year-old little boy in a little girl's book series and watch and encourage kids to read because apparently it's racist. This is so ridiculous. Yeah, it was definitely some Southern slang. What's up, Big Harv? Oh, man. But yeah. So yeah, I mean, you got to be careful. You don't want to fall down that creek. They might not ever see you again. So yeah. You gotta learn the terminology, especially if you're gonna go out there with your metal detector looking for stuff. You gotta know that stuff. When I was living in South Korea, there was an area called Busan, South Korea. And I remember there was a beach area we were at. There was a ton of people. I don't think I've ever seen so many people out there with metal detectors on the beach. Those Koreans, man, they were definitely looking for gold, little nuggets buried within the sand. That's for sure. Oh my gosh. So anyway, so there's that. I don't know. Any other topics we can discuss today, guys? Anything everybody want to we can talk about or solve the world's problems with anything? I went almost 30 minutes of my VHS movie rant conversation, walk down memory lane. I don't want to be tapped out at 30 minutes, so we could definitely talk about something else. I don't think we want to talk about any controversial topics because people get butthurt and cry and they run away. No, I haven't watched it. Don't ruin it. I want to watch. I don't have cable, so I got to watch it on YouTube. Hopefully, someone will upload it on YouTube here in the next 30 minutes to an hour, and I'm gonna try to watch it tonight before I go to bed so I can see it because they're usually pretty good about uploading the entire show, so I can watch it within not in real time but quasi real time. I don't got to wait for a whole full day before somebody finally gets it up there. So I'm trying to hopefully do that. But yeah, I'm looking for that. It looked like there was a lot of stuff going on tonight's episode because Sunday night's is it Revolution? Their big pay-per-view thing, their first pay-per-view of the year, I believe. So I know that there was a lot of storylines either coming to a head, tightening up a bit, or maybe finishing and moving into Revolution. So I know there's a lot going on I'm super pumped about. So yeah, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, thanks for not spoiling it because I do enjoy. I can't believe they're doing a third show here in about 2 weeks. They're going to start Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. It's unbelievable. You should invest in that Andrew Cuomo book he wrote about how he was like the savior of New York on the COVID that he wrote and then published while still in the middle of COVID, and said that he was God's gift to the people of New York, and maybe you get a couple autographed copies of that. That'd be nice. I mean, that's the world we live in, guys. I mean, can you actually have this arrogant SOB who kills literally thousands of people by sticking them in nursing homes? I mean, which is absolutely outrageous. If anyone else would have done that had an R next to their name instead of a D, there would be people being like, I mean, just like ran out of town. Out of town. If there was an R next to somebody's name and that same thing happened, they would be people losing their minds. But not only did he kill literally grandma and grandpa, he wrote a book about how great he is and how great he did everything, at the same time hiding the fact that what he was doing and threatening people on his staff not to come forward with the truth. And on top of that, sexually harass people, apparently, allegedly. I mean, you cannot make this stuff up, but that stuff doesn't get played. But then, like, you have some handicapped Republican who manufactured apparently a story and he lied. That's fine. You could throw him under the bus too. If he lied. But he apparently made up a story about something he said or did or whatever. I think he got in a car wreck or that got him paralyzed, and he fabricated parts of the story. I'm not for sure. That guy is getting blasted everywhere because he's a young conservative, handicapped person. So it's like, he's checking all kinds of boxes that you want to go for. They're trying to ruin him, but you got Cuomo who's harassing women, killing people, threatening people's jobs, ruining people's lives, and he's on easy street. He's living life. It's literally unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And it's like when they lost their minds about Ted Cruz going on vacation with his family. Every other during the ice storm, it's like all these other people in all these other states were leaving during COVID and going to Hawaii for meetings and recreational experiences with their colleagues, going having their hair did, going getting their restaurants, famous restaurants. They're living their lives, even though everybody else's their lives are being ruined. Nobody says a word about that. Ted Cruz leaves, takes his daughters on vacation. He's like the Antichrist. It's just but nobody wants to talk about it. It's like, oh, no. Evil, because you got an R next to your name. You're the evil, terrible, awful person. You have a D on your name. You just decently disappear. We don't even know you're there. It's like bada boom, bada bing, and you're gone. We don't even know what you're doing. You're fine. You get a free get out of jail card every time. So unless you're literally leaning over the body with a knife in hand, you're safe. It's unbelievable. So, but I mean, anybody who feels the same way I do is surprised by any of this? The answer is no. No. We've known this for a while now, and it's only probably going to get worse before it gets better. Maybe it's never going to get better. You got to be it's so ridiculous. Is HGA, is that the hybrid grading company? Is that the one y'all were talking about? Or maybe not you, but I was watching some video, and they you can pick your colors of your slab. Is that my understanding? You can pick different colors of a slab. I don't know. I mean, I know that with PSA doing what they're doing by doubling their prices, essentially. Well, not essentially. That's just actually what they're doing. They're doubling their prices. I mean, this is probably the one and maybe only time that a company that's relatively new or an SGC or whatever could really make inroads. But I don't know. I do not know. Let's see here. I bet Cuomo fills his cart with blasters at Target and tells the kids, yeah, I bet he does. I bet he does. There's probably video of him. There's probably somebody in this community videotaping him like hitting kids with his Target cart as he runs back and tries to get as many blasters off the shelf. And he's like, get out of here, you little snot-nosed punks. Well, screw yourselves. I'm sure I would not be surprised if that actually is not what's happening, you know? It would not be a surprise at all. Uh-oh, here we go. What's going on here? Oh, okay. Hey, it's Andy and Gary talking on my phone. Sorry. I thought it was somebody important. Just kidding, Gary. Just kidding. But yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like, you know, I thought it was cool, you know. I thought it was. Has everybody seen the John video, the Mangini collection? John Mangini's like video that he did this morning, and I mean, dude, he was spitting some straight up fuego, not Fago, not the stuff that ICP likes, but fuego. Oh, I bet they do. Oh my gosh, can you, dude? Oh my gosh, like. What world do we live in, guys? Like, I don't know if you all remember this, but if you all remember, but like Cuomo's brother, who is an anchor, which is not at all, you know, nepotism or making sure you protect your brother or the Democratic Party or whatever. But Chris, he has his brother on the show on a regular basis during COVID, and he like pulls out this like huge, like fake Q-tip that's like on like a I don't even know what, like on PVC pipe with a fake Q-tip about doing swabs. They're like literally laughing about COVID and being checked or swabbed with COVID. And they're like laughing about it as people die in hospitals and nursing homes in New York. They're having a good chuckle about it. It's like, again, like it was totally fine. Like, that was fine. Like no problem. We're laughing, joking. This is all big hee hee ha ha. And again, you know, if Mitch McConnell was doing something like that, oh my gosh, you know, Ted Cruz was doing laughing, having a good old time. Oh, he would have been the Antichrist. I can't tell, Gary, if you're being serious or not, dude. Are you being serious? How do you not get that video? I don't know, dude. I'm not trying to be like purposely like dismissive, but I mean, like everything that everybody says in this community, he like put in there about like focusing on like, you know, everybody get hung up on their slabs, and you could use that same money on slabs and other things and all the stuff that people talk about how you know they don't buy the car, they don't buy the grain, they buy the car, and they do this and they do that. Like how many times have we all heard these conversations? Everybody acts like it's not PSA. They're not addicted to PSA or whatever, but on all actuality, that's exactly what it is. John Mangini's video. Ooh. That's awesome. I'm looking forward to that video, Mike. I hope it's a good experience. I'm all for somebody else stepping up to the plate and taking some of the PSA's thunder. I mean, you know, I know that's not a popular take for some people because, you know, they got their old ball and chain with PSA. They're taking that ship and like the Titanic, they're right into the bottom of the ocean for sure. But I really hope there's like some companies that come out and just like really put the screws to them. I mean, you know, I think that's wishful thinking in a lot of ways, but I don't know. Like, I really, really, fingers crossed. I hope they really do. That would be so epic. Oh yeah. Well, I don't think I think so. Yeah, quite frankly, because the video he was doing. I mean, if you haven't watched the video, then maybe you don't know. If you have watched the video, then apparently you're not watching everybody else's videos who all they do is talk about the precious PSA slabs and all the stuff that's connected to PSA. So maybe this was over your head. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, I think you should try them all, Mike. I think that's great. All right, I can't wait to see it, Andy. You're SGC. You've been SGC strong for quite a while now. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I don't see anybody can justify sending any money to PSA right now. That's crazy, dude. Doing a CSG bulk, which is 60. Hey, I might need to reach out to you, Mike, about doing an SGC order with you and kind of get what's the cost if I do SGC with you, Mike? Or do I get a YouTube Hall of Famer discount? But I have some cards, some vintage stuff I want to send out. And when I say vintage, I mean 2017. Yeah, that's right. Woo! So that's it. Yeah, it's true. I think that's true. And there's a lot of people who do that, though, Mike. A lot of people who do. I'm not talking about it. I'm talking about people who only use PSA and then complain about their when they don't get tens back, or that they have to have them all uniform, like it has to be PSA, or they won't get anything except PSA, or they complain about how long it takes, or if I don't get a PSA, if I get an SGC, I don't get the same money for that value. It's like, dude, I mean, well, he lists all the things off. I mean, apparently you didn't get the memo, Gary. I don't know what to tell you. So I mean, this is not like this is a new thing that happened just over the last 72 hours. Yeah, I'm hoping they do, because if that's the case, I want to start, because I thought, SGC I really liked and I was going to start using them. And right when the whole thing that SGC was going to start getting bombarded, that's when they started doing 6-month turnarounds and all that. I was like, all right, I'm going to hold off. I've heard they're getting a little bit better. They're getting back on track, but that's probably before this whole PSA thing hit the fan this past Monday. So they might end up getting bombarded again. I don't know. Who knows? It might be a while before they can get back on track. But I would like to use SGC, because I quite frankly don't care who it is. But we'll see what happens, because I really don't care. So Nostalgia, 11-day turnaround for me right now. Wow, that's really good. 11-day turnaround, just regular service, Andy. That's crazy fast. But also, you sent them in obviously a week and a half ago. So that was before the PSA did their announcement where they're going to charge everybody a pancreas and a kidney for their submissions. But if they can, I don't need an 11-day turnaround. They could take 30 days. I don't need that back within 2 weeks. Though that's great. I'm not complaining. If they actually can stick it with those turnaround times, that'd be awesome. Wow, that's great, dude. I love it. Yeah, that's exactly what they did, dude. But honestly, I don't care. I'm fine with it. I don't care, because it doesn't make. Yeah, to me, it doesn't make any difference. Like, I would send in a PSA because I found a guy that sends a PSA on a regular basis. He said, "Hey, man, I'll take care of you. You just send me your stuff. I'll take care of all the work. Just pay them when they come." It was like a great setup. So I was just using them because they were using PSA. They could have done the same thing with SGC or whoever. I would have done the same thing with them. I just don't. I get nervous about trying to make sure I know what I have and put the information in properly. Make sure I got the right card with the right submission and all that kind of stuff, and packing it all. That makes me a little bit nervous about it all. So when somebody else said, "Hey, I'm not going to charge you anything," I do it anyways. So just throw some stuff my way. I'll take care of it. I was like, all right, man, I'll be a Huckleberry. So, yeah, Mike O, dude, I should switch over, and I should go live with my phone, and I should get Mike O on here, and me and Mike could really go to town, man. That would be awesome. Maybe we should we should do that. We should get lit. Let Mike O just like go nuts. Let him go nuts on my channel. Everybody sit back and just let Mike O wash over you with his wisdom as he drops, bombs all over you. Oh my gosh, $100,000 to be in a preferred status account. That is nuts, man. Absolutely unbelievable, dude. I mean, you got to think about it, how big the balls on the person or on the persons who make that decision to go and send an email out to their loyal customer fan base and consumers and say, if you want to stay in good standing, whatever, preferred standing, you better cough up $100K. I mean, like, that to me is just like, are we even on the same planet? I mean, is this not something that you would expect coming from, Tatooine? I don't get it. I mean, that's just nuts. I don't get it, dude. That to me is such a slap in the face. I mean, we all knew, I mean, well, unless you're an idiot, you've known for, I don't know, I've known for 4 years that PSA, and like many corporations or companies or whatever, could care less about their customers. They do not care by their practices, by what they do, what they say, how they act, how they treat people. I mean, I have heard horror stories from many guys in this community about how they don't even bother to pick up the phone, call you back, email you back, take the call, let it ring for an hour. Don't respond. Just ignore you. Ignore everything about you. Don't care, because guess what? They know you're going to keep coming back and spending your money. So why do they care? Because they don't have to care. I mean, that's exactly what it is, dude. It's like unbelievable. And people, like I said yesterday, people just keep coming back for more. Which I think is hilarious, actually, that John made that mention of, like, how everybody was complaining about PSA, altering cards or whatever, or like authenticating alternate cards, and they were like losing their minds about it, but then they send their cards anyways. It's like, okay, it is what it is. Based on current prices, it would probably add up pretty quick. That's true, I guess. 240. Hey, what up, Mike? Canadian Cards is in the hizzy. I like the Star Wars reference there, Mike. Hitman 23. I know. These are not the droids you're looking for. Not the droids we're looking for. Go on about your business. All right, go on. Bye-bye. Hey, yo. Oh, man. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not surprised by any of this stuff. It is what it is. I'm surprised at sometimes the reactions people have about things, but, that really shouldn't surprise me anymore either. Right, yeah. Next March, yeah, a year from now, you'll be able to be like, oh, yeah. I mean, like, I honestly forget about the cards. I'll wait till I get an email or a text from my buddy. He'll be like, hey, man, those cards popped. The ones I sent 2 years ago, yeah, they just came up. What did they say? What did one of the people say? They had a 10 million card back order at a PSA, and then, I mean, like, it sounds like they'll slow down somewhat, but I mean, like we talked about yesterday, man. A lot of people, they're still going to keep sending because people they just don't learn their lesson. No one learns their lesson, dude. Oh my goodness. Sorry, I'm trying to. So yeah, we'll see how things shake out over the next few weeks and months. I guess it'll be interesting time to be a collector or whatnot. Man, oh man, dude, that is crazy. But here's the thing. this is a question I was thinking about. What's your all's thoughts? If you have a card in your collection, or you think you have a card in your collection that you want to send to get graded, that $25 submission, 50, 100, 150, whatever it is, for a quicker turnaround, are you thinking that it's okay, it's no problem to make it to where it have a faster turnaround and have that eat into your profits? Like I heard today, like something like $300 for like a 10-day, 12-day turnaround, 150 for like a 2 weeks, or 100 for like a 4 weeks or something. I'm like, and that's assuming I guess if you get a 10. Like I just don't see how it makes financial sense unless you're sitting on some like 5-digit card. I mean, if you got a 5-digit card, you got like a $25,000 card, then yeah, $100 probably ain't that big of a deal. But I mean, like most people are not sending in 5-digit cards. Most people are sending in a 3-digit card, and then maybe they're hoping it might be a 4-digit card, maybe. Like, how can you justify spending $150, $300 to get that card? I mean, that's knucking futz, man, knucking futz. I don't get it. I don't even know how you can even like that even makes sense. Like, I want as much money as I can for a card. If I'm going with the idea of spending money on a card, I do not want. That's like people who go get their taxes done and they get like $5,000 back from the government, and they don't want to wait 2 weeks or 3 weeks. They're like, I gotta have it right now. And then like HR Block or JK Hewitt or whatever, J Packard or whatever, H&R Blocker. They're like, oh, well, we'll give you money. We'll get you your money tomorrow or like in 2 days, but you got to give us $400 of your check. And people are like, oh, okay. It's like, are you that desperate for, your money that you can't wait 2 weeks? You don't have 2 nickels you can't rub together over the next 2 weeks to get all that money back, but you give it to H&R Block to give you, and they take $400 or $500 of their money. So instead of having 5,000, you got now 4,500. You're gonna have 5,000 if you just want to wait it 2 weeks. It's like you got a car that's worth $1,000, but you're gonna go ahead and send it in that like express service and like lose 300 right off the top. I'm like, it doesn't even make sense. It's like and that's assuming you get a 10. And then we have to crack up if you get a 7.5. I'm like, moron. Read them a week, suckers. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you about that, Mike, about what you're saying. But it is surprising, like, how many people I've heard in the community who, yeah, they're not sending the 11th-year Shaq cards and the 5th-year Pujols cards right now, and I get all that. But I am surprised at how many people are like, oh, I'm still sending cards in. Because everybody's sending cards in because they think it's going to be a 10. And they think they're going to get, it's going to be like a high $100 card, or maybe they're lucky in the thousands. So everybody is like frothing at the mouth, thinking, oh, this is the one. Yeah, it will not stop. You're exactly right. I mean, yeah, it'll slow it down. I mean, sure, but it ain't. I mean, the floodgates might have been stopped up, but there's still holes in it. They're not going to be able to plug up all the holes. That's for sure. And there's a lot of people in this community, they love plugging holes. And they're going to have trouble doing it, that's for sure. The dam's about to break. Plug them holes. It's down by the creek. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. They have a $300. I think I heard today that they're like express service or their super express service is $300. Their express service is like $150. So if you send a card in, assuming you get it a 10, and people send in cards that are like in the $1,000 range, just in the hopes that they can maybe make a couple $100 off the card, you still got people doing that. People are still like, oh, I still can make this money. I'm like, I want to maximize my money. There's no way I would spend that kind of money in that quick turnaround. Because if you do your regular service, like Mike was just saying, you're talking about, I think a minimum, they said a 10-month turnaround. Yeah, them sneakerheads, man. Them sneakerheads got to have that PSA, man. I got that PSA, man. You got 2 cheeseburgers, man. I got the 2 PSA slabs, man. What do I gotta do for them PSA slabs, man? So Sasha T, gotta get them dollar bills, yo. You right that? You got that right, Gary. Gotta get them dollar bills. Gotta get them greenbacks. Gotta make that cheddar. Get them bones. I don't even know who Sasha is. The only person I know is Sasha Baron Cohen or Sasha Banks. What? It's time to go to get a banknote. It's boss time. Woo! Oh, that's more like Ric Flair, but okay. I just realized over the last couple weeks that Ric Flair would do a woo, but also Sting does a woo. Now the difference is Ric Flair just like he'll just come on down and be like woo, but Sting goes woo, same woo. I never really put it together. Sting stole Ric Flair's woo. The only difference he just claps his hands around his mouth like this and goes, woo! But you got Flair, doing his woo. So it's like, how do I not put that together after all these years? We got some copyright infringement going on here, Steve, which is Sting's real name. Just in case you all didn't know. Just in case you all didn't get the memo. That Sting's real name is Steve. Like, they did man, dude, it was so funny. Like, it's so weird when they did an interview, AEW did an interview called AEW Unrestricted. They did one with Steve. I'm sorry, with Sting. Now I'm calling him Steve like we're friends. He did one with Sting, and he did an interview, and it's just so funny because, where some of these other guys still keep up their gimmicks, and Sting, I'm sure, was for the longest time that. Like, the interview, he like sitting at his kitchen table. Like he got potted plants, whatever hanging, behind him. He doesn't have his makeup. I don't think he has his makeup on, and he's just talking about wrestling. And I'm like, it kind of took away a little bit of the magic. I got to admit, I was like, really, Sting? But I mean, I totally understand. Like when Mark Calloway, Undertaker, when he just finally stopped doing Undertaker, he just became Mark Calloway. It's so weird because you never really saw him in any other capacity other than the Taker. And then when he just all of a sudden this past year changed into Mark, like he's just like, hey guys, I'm Mark Calloway. I'm Texas native. I like shooting guns, hunting, and vote for Trump. You're like, whoa, Undertaker, what is this? It's kind of weird to see like Sting, if you ever remember Sting was like Hollywood Sting, blonde hair, bright, pastel, bright, vibrant colors. Then he went to, Crow Sting, which he still is now. He had a hot minute where he was Joker Sting. But, he's all in black makeup, black hair, black, trench coat, black bat, all that stuff. But then you see him as Steve sitting in his wife's kitchen talking about wrestling. I'm like, wow. It's like, I don't know if I can handle that, Steve. I think I want you to go back, put your makeup on, and come back out and give us a woo. But yeah. All right, see you later, Gary. Take care, brother, as always. Yeah, you got that right. Collect with inside your means. Yes. What does Pepino Man say? Caesar, collect your wage. That is 100% factual and actual. And I think TLC used to say 100%, man. But yeah, who knows? Most people can't do it, dude. Most people just can't control themselves. That's the thing is, we live in a culture now that people are unwilling to just be patient. Patience is a thing of the past. And it doesn't matter what it doesn't matter what walk of life you're in. Most people cannot be patient anymore. I should say at least most Americans cannot be patient about anything. Everything has to be right now, this very second, lickety split in my hand, right now. Give it to me. Consumption at the top level. And if you have to wait for something and you have to be patient, people can't handle it. It's not in their DNA currently. And probably never will be again. Once the interwebs began and everybody just expects it to be like lickety split. I mean, have you all ever been to, it's crazy because I don't know how you all, but in Indiana, Mexican restaurants, I don't know what they do, but they get your food out like in less than 5 minutes. I feel like every time I go to a Mexican restaurant and I can order one of their not popular dishes, not like just some tacos, but I'll order like their specials or their things that most people don't eat, I would assume. Not the popular stuff, because I like trying different kinds of foods. I mean, how did I get this fat? Because I like to eat, right? It's like they bring that food out within 5 minutes. It's like a video game. It's like an action movie. It is like that. But if you go to like another restaurant, like an American, gastro pub, you go to like a mom and pop place a lot of times, you go to different kind of ethnic restaurants or whatever. I mean, you can be sitting there for 15, 20, 30 minutes for your food. But I don't know. So I don't know what they do differently to get that food out and be delicious. But man, it is like shocking. And I think that's what Americans are like that. They want everything fast, right then and there. They don't want to wait for anything. If they got to wait, they don't want to. Then they complain, they moan, they piss and moan about having to wait. I think if you're halfway older like myself, you're like, back in the olden days, back in the 80s. But if you think about back in the 80s, I mean, that's why I like AEW. They're telling stories. It takes a long time to get to sometimes the outcome of a storyline they started months ago. In some cases, a year ago, 6 months ago, a year ago. Most people don't have that time anymore. They want something to happen right now. Don't matter if it makes sense or not. I want my PSA slab right now. I want my food right now. I want my internet to happen right now. I want my TV channel not to have any commercials because I'm used to no commercials at this moment. The most crazy thing to me, if you all have kids, you probably know this, that if you have services like streaming services, there's rarely anything that's a commercial that breaks up streaming services, videos, movies, music, whatever, right? Rarely. And if you're paying for it, you got no service. A lot of times you pay for the service, there's no commercials. Nothing breaks up consistent streaming. And even when they do put a commercial in, it's like 6 seconds, 15 seconds, right? I remember vividly, 6 years ago or whatever, the first time my son ever really watched TV for the first time in his life, really sat down and watched TV, he was like, "What's happening right now, Dad?" He was probably like, I would say he's 6 or 7 years old. And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "What happened to the show? What happened to the movie or whatever we were watching?" I'm like, "What do you mean? What is this?" And he was referencing a commercial because it was like a 3-minute long commercial, or there was 3 minutes worth of commercials between two sections of the show. And he was like, "What is happening right now?" He didn't even know what a commercial was. It boggled his mind. I mean, that's what we're talking about. People cannot wait even 3 minutes to see the next part of their movie or show or music or whatever, because we are being conditioned to have things streaming into our eyeballs and our ear holes and everything else, our hair follicles at lightning speed. So when a child tells you what is a commercial, that should be the biggest indication that they are getting this fed nonstop, this images and information and being overwhelmed. All their sensories are being overwhelmed. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I love getting online. I mean, I've done this now for a couple of days. I'll hop online, but guess what? I'm not online most of the time. I might have music playing, or I might have a video playing in the background. I'm doing my work, And if I'm not even able to do music or watch something because I'm working, then I'm working. Like I'm not on social media all the time. I actually got off of Facebook basically. Like I'm not even on Facebook anymore because I just can't deal with it. I can't deal with the stupidity in the world right now. It's just too much for me. It's too much for my simple brain to handle. I can only get rid of and block, or not block, but like what's the word? Unfriend so many people, so many ignorant people that to a point now I'm just like, oh my gosh. So, oh my gosh, that was right. That's right, Mike. You got that. Hey, what up, Henry? Well, you got that right, Mike. Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? I don't know how it is in Canada, brother, but man, up until COVID, #Rona happened, there was the young population that just didn't give a flip that you be in a movie theater, pitch black, movies being playing, and they'd get out their phones and they'd be like texting or playing a game on their phone while you're in the theater watching a movie. I mean, I don't even know how many times I almost got into a fight with somebody because I tell them to turn it off, or or I'm gonna drop them on their head. And it's like, I don't even know how many times. I mean, I don't care. It's mind-boggling. It's like, why would you come and spend $20 minimum, I think now, for a ticket and a Coke or a popcorn or whatever? I mean, at least. And then not watch the movie. It makes like no sense. Like, I mean, how dense are you? Like, if you're gonna do that, just stay at home. Or you're gonna do that, you go sit in the very back of the theater. There's no one's behind you, and then you go and do whatever you got to do. But how are you like sitting in front of the middle of the theater where there's people all around you, and you whip out your phone and you just start texting, you start playing whatever? It's like, man, I will straight up donkey punch somebody. Ugh. Yeah, you're right. There's no boundaries. They don't care. It just, I mean, it's mind-boggling, dude. I mean, really it is. I mean, and then you would think it's like, you would think that it is like a no-brainer. If you go to a dark theater surrounded by other paying customers to watch a brand new movie that no one's probably seen, and then whip out your phone with your bright LED light phone or whatever it is, and have that light shining on you like it's a flashlight, like you're getting pulled over, and then expect people not to say something. Like when some, especially if it's a girl, gives you that look like who you think you're talking to? I'm like, I'm talking to you. You. If you don't turn off your phone, I'm gonna take your phone, I'm gonna throw it out the window. Well, there's no windows, I'm gonna throw it down the line. I mean, I don't know how many times I had to get onto some young people about, I'm like, I just lose my mind. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I mean, I'm like, the theater should already know better. They should have somebody in there keeping an eye on that stuff. You gotta nanny these children. You gotta babysit them because apparently they're still crapping their pants. They need to be taken care of. Modern day Paul Rubens, baby. Yeah, Pee Wee Herman. I don't want to get caught. No, I don't know if I want to see them like that kind of Pee Wee Herman. No Florida theater, no Florida adult theater like 1994 with his scraggly hair and his little like Fu Manchu mustache or whatever he's doing. Whip it out in the theater. Whip it real good. Yeah, well, I know I'm not their dad because if I was their dad, I would whip their butts. That's why. In real life, and I mean, I'd be like, but my kids, they know better. If you raise your kids right, you don't got to worry about that stuff. Touching his wife. Yeah, he was definitely talking to Jeannie that day. What's the magic word, Screen? But yeah, I mean, if you raise your kids the right way, you don't have to worry about when they go in public, them embarrassing themselves, anything. They should know better. Like, yeah, if the movie hasn't started, it's just sitting there, the lights haven't come down. I don't care. Be on your phone all day long. Take a call, text. I don't care what you're doing. Stream live, whatever. But as soon as that lights go down, they open the screen up and it gets whiter. The lights come down. It gets dark, and the movie begins. It's a cut. It's a wrap. Whatever. We're done. Like, I don't know why that's so hard. It is mind-boggling that people. I mean, and the thing is, they just don't care. It's not because it's not hard. They just don't care. People are just selfish. It goes back to what I was saying before, that people are just selfish. They don't even care. They don't care about the other people. They just care about themselves. Product of their environment, you better believe that's right. Product of my sister's kids are pro-light. Yes. Pro folks. Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah. I mean, the kids are. I mean, that if you're a parent or like you or Henry, his nieces or nephews or whatever, one of the best compliment that you can get as a parent is when another parent tells you how well mannered your kid is, or how impressed they are with the way they interact with other kids, or even them as adults, or the way they talk, or the way they show respect. Like that is and that's not to pat myself on the back or any parent on the back. It's like, well, good. That's what you want. You want your kid to be a good person. You want your kid to be a good human being. You want your kid not to show their butt and be a little snot. Like, I don't think that's a difficult, prospect. I worked in the public school system for 15 years. And you definitely knew what kids had good parents and what kids didn't have good parents or didn't have any parents maybe. And I mean, I know some kids grow up in tough situations, but if you're any kind of role model, parent, grandparent, aunt, uncle, whatever, guardian, whatever it is, I mean, like, it is your job to take care of those kids and to show them not to be little jag-offs. But unfortunately, a lot of parents don't do that. They want the teachers to be the disciplinarians, and they think they do. And as soon as the teacher disciplines their kid, they lose their mind and want to sue the school because the teacher takes something away from them or punishes them. Takes privileges away. Then all of a sudden now you don't want that anymore. But you want your kid at like a monster. Like one time I was working, I don't want to say where it was because I don't want to, just in case, to protect everybody that was involved. But I was an interpreter for the deaf in public school systems around Kentucky and Indiana, both. And I was working in a preschool, like a pre-K, kindergarten, first grade school. And there was this little kid there, and I'm just going to call him Andrew. And Andrew was there. He had no father. He was a little jag-off, 100%, 5 years old. And, he had no respect for women because his mom was his only authority. And his mom had, didn't, punish him, didn't take anything away from him. Like, he knew that if he acted up, he'd get his way. And he would continually try to trip the teachers and make them fall down, try to push them down, try to hit them whenever he didn't get his way, or sometimes just to be mean. It was like unbelievable. Now, he wouldn't do that with me because he was scared of me because I was a man. It wasn't because I was like, I did anything. I mean, I'm 5'7". I'm by far from scary. But just because he didn't know how to interact with a man, he was just by default scared of me. But I mean, he would be mean just to be mean. And I mean, like, and that kid turned into a 10-year-old, then a 13-year-old, then a 15-year-old, then a 17-year-old, then a 21-year-old. And like, that's what you're dealing with, And because like what Mike was saying, they have terrible upbringings. And then they attack and hurt people, themselves, teachers, whatever. People act like they're surprised when they do that at 5, when they were at 15, when they could really hurt somebody, or older, they could try to kill somebody. This is ridiculous. Kids don't wear belts so they don't get whipped by them. That's true. Yeah, that's the same thing. I tell my son, I don't like it. I don't care. We're in the car. We're on a long trip. Fine. Get out your iPad, whatever. And we're just sitting at the house and, we're taking we're not doing something together. That's fine. But if we're in a restaurant, unless we're done eating, we're just kind of sitting there, BSing. That's fine. You get your phone out, get your iPad out, whatever. But you better not do that while we're just sitting there talking. I don't have my phone out unless I'm texting somebody real quick or somebody texts me real quick and I put it away. I don't have it out playing on it. And for that very reason, Mike, you got that right. Because I don't want my kid growing up having that thing in front of his face. And he already does. His mom gave him an iPad. I'm just like, oh my gosh. But I try my darndest to keep that to a minimum. You're Your fourth grade teacher, Henry, took away your baseball, never gave it back. That's child abuse, dude. Hey, what up, Eddie? Oh, well, yeah, you're a teacher. Well, good. Hopefully you're one of the good ones, brother. I hope you're one of the good ones. We need all the good teachers we can get out there. And sometimes the teachers are great, but the problem is the parents are awful. The teachers have their hands tied, especially nowadays, with so much stuff. They can't really do anything. And anytime they try to exert any kind of willpower over a child in any way, it's like met with so much resistance. It's not worth the fight because you're not going to lose your job for some snot-nosed kid. I wouldn't blame you. I wouldn't. I'd be like, you know what? Fine, whatever. All right, good. I'm just going to show up and do my job. The kid's a hellion. I'll call the office, I guess, or whatever I need to do. I'm not losing my job for some punk kid. That's for sure. Yeah, exactly. I mean, nowadays I would definitely not smack another person's kid because Lord have mercy. But yeah, back in the olden days, heck yeah. I don't know how many parents would threaten me with an inch of my life. I don't know if I ever had a parent put their hands on me, but I sure know they tell my parents and my mom and dad. When my dad would put his hand on me, he'd reach out and touch someone, like the Yellow Pages. But I remember I had a lot of parents getting on me about stuff and yelling in my face and threatening to whip my butt and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, Mr. Thomas, I'm sorry, or whatever. They'd be telling me to get my butt home, but they wouldn't use the word butt. I remember those days for sure. And my dad would do the same thing. I know my dad never would put his hand on another kid, I don't think. Not that I'm aware of, because I'm sure, because my dad was so scary, he didn't have to do that. All right, see you later, Henry. People would always be like, dude, your dad's so scary, Jason. I'm like, yeah, well, try living with him. Now my dad's a big teddy bear, and I love him. I mean, I loved him back then. He was the best dad in the world. I love my father. I mean, more than anything in the world, he was and still is the best father in the world. I mean, he had the perfect approach. I mean, by far the perfect approach about raising children. Have fun, laugh, not take things serious. But boy, howdy, when you are supposed to take things serious and something happens, you better make sure you buckle up, buckaroo, because if you take it lightly and he thinks you're not taking it serious, you get paintbrushed. So, yeah, without a doubt. But, I mean, that's the thing is, he was not scared to put you in your place, or at least his own kids. So, anyway, but yeah. We'll see how things shake out. I mean, nowadays, I don't know, with the movie theaters not even open anymore, so who knows? All the theaters in this area, to my knowledge, around me are all closed down. I think some of them are permanent, which is just shocking. And I mean, no theaters. I mean, I think some theaters are doing private screenings. So I guess you can rent out a screen for however many hundreds of dollars. But are you able to show a movie in there? Do you get access to their their film library? I don't know. But I see a lot of that right now. So who knows? Yeah, guys, I think I'm going to head out too. It's been an hour and 15 minutes. I'm going to try to see if AEW is on right now. So I appreciate everybody watching. I'm just going to kind of cut out. I know it's last second. But I appreciate everybody hanging out, man. Until next time, peace out.